Okay, testing. Are we working? Yay! There it is. Welcome, fellow stars and miners, back to Raccon City build. I've done a little bit of work off camera since the last live stream, but I think this is where we left it, just outside Gun Shop Kendo. I still need to make some banners or signs for out of here. Banners is something I'm getting used to, as I'll show you in a little bit. So it was a quick recap on where we were up to. We did the main start point from Leon A. So eventually there will be signs, so that will be Berserkers, and we'll get a few more names up here. Tony's, which I believe was an Italian. But then on the inside here, we managed to finish the inside of the gun shop. It does look a bit dark, but it is, oddly enough, it's still spawn proof. So, from last time, managed to fill out the first alleyway that you would run down. I wasn't sure how to do pallets that stack up against the edge, so I went with ladders in the end. Invisible item frames would be amazing. However, I am on Bedrock, and I don't know if there is a command for that. If there is, somebody will have to let me know. Scroll down here. Stroll down here, and we've got obviously the Kendo gunshot van. And what I'm going to do is these buttons here, I'm not going to hit it because I'll break it. I'm going to start using the mangrove button as ammo. So inside here is 15 rounds. They will all be named eventually. So when you click this or just go into the dispenser, you'll have 15 rounds for your 9mm. And I plan to do that throughout the entire build because I want to make this playable. Maybe set it in adventure mode so blocks can't be broken, or even just let players go through it of their own accord in standard survival. Because I am going to make certain areas spawnable, so there will be mobs in certain areas, and there will also not be mobs in certain areas. So moving out of the basketball court, we've got this first alleyway, and this is where you would obviously come down with Leon. A couple of garbage bags there, a few nasty looking bins, and then we have the stairs that lead up to the second floor area, which, there we go, that's better, now I'm actually walking. So you've got that metallic sound effect as if you're on grates. A couple of industrial air chutes, a few windows, a few pipes and tubes here and there, a few wires here and there. I've literally gone through screenshots to try and get this as accurate as humanly possible. Obviously, it's Minecraft. There's limitations to what you can and cannot do, so I have gone as close as I humanly can to it. Down here, I mean, depending on whether you played the American version or the Japanese version, there will be some ammo down here at some point. I will incorporate that in. Little details like that I'm going to add towards the end when I've maybe completed certain segments. So you can actually jump over here. There will be zombies here. These little, there was little fluorescent lights in the game, and I tried making the wall too wide and then putting end rods in, metal grates in front, but it didn't look right. So what I settled on in the end was blaze rods with glow frames. Now this building here, I think I mentioned it in the last one. When you look at the PS2 version of the playthrough, that looks green. It actually looks green. And I'm going to come back to certain colours and textures later. But that was the best I came up with. So I've tried to incorporate a bit of dark wool in, just to go around where the light is. And oddly enough, yes, there's only 3 windows there. All the other pictures from all the other angles, there are no more windows to that building, yet it is just as high as this one here. Quick drink. So the pipes here, not a lot really I could do with them. You can't really stop them sticking to the wall. There's not a lot else you can do with the grey terracotta. I might add some more texture into this, I'm not sure. With it not being a focal point, because the player will be at this height in survival mode, it's not really something that's desperate. I may come back to it as I've done a little bit of texture in here and there. And then we come through to this area. Now the only glimpses you get of this building are when you get to this point to open the gate, and also when you're in the RPD. So that is the closest I could possibly get without going too big and too extravagant and overshadowing the rest. Cars. Now somebody made a suggestion to me in one of my comments. Why not, because I'm in creative, use maps to make the wheels? And that is actually a brilliant idea. I mean, I'm not very good at map art, but maybe something that's a good idea, because I think that would definitely make the cars look better, far better. There's my attempt. There's my first attempt at using banners. I have actually seen a better variant of the letter Q, so I will be updating that at some point, but this is just to give a rough idea. Now, yes, there's a spawner under there. So the reason I've left this area completely undone, as you can see, is because in Resident Evil 3, when you put out the fire with Jill with the hose, it leads to an alleyway that comes down here, which leads to a small little pharmaceutical area where you meet Nikolai and get one of the mixtures for the tram cart. So this area, there's no point in filling it in until I actually get round to that area and work out how I'm going to incorporate it in, and whether the building she runs past is actually this building here. According to the map, it is, but I've been following the maps before, and as I've said, they don't always add up. That's my attempt at an upside down car using glow lichens, broken glass. The bus. Now, I had to copy the bus from my previous build for more ammo, which I still have. I might give a quick flick through the old build towards the end just to show you how much things have changed and give a quick recap on what I lost. Now, these little trash bins, I say little, they're huge. I did not know what to do. There is 2 out here, but this path, I don't know, it seems too wide, but having said that, in the game, if there's a zombie here and a zombie here, you've got to run around, and that still doesn't leave much room for manoeuvre. I've still got the windows to finish up there. I'll be honest, I got fed up of putting those windows in. They were a pain. I got the police cars in. There needs to be you don't see it actually in Leon's campaign, because this area is just dark. Whether it's the game's render distance or whether it was they just blacked it out. But on Jill, when you approach the RPD from the front, there's actually a front end of an 18-wheeler without its compartment on the back. So I will be putting that in there, so that gap will be getting filled, and eventually more fire and smoke. I am very, very chuffed with the way my fire engine came out. Again, wheels, bit of a pain, but I didn't know what else to do with it. All you could do with putting a step on there, really. Not like you can get in. It's solid. Now, the reason I did all of this off camera is, personally, I felt that they're not really focal points. And yes, it's your first run through when you get into the city and you can see how decimated the city has been. This I will fill in eventually. These are back areas to shops, and I'll probably put a door in there, some bins, some boxes, just to fill in that little area. But the details, the abstract details will come in later. But yeah, I didn't feel that this was a major thing that I needed to put into the video as I was building it. Oh, look at this. Still miss bits. And we've got hollow bits down there. Yeah, glow lichen. I had to turn mob spawning off in the end. It got out of hand. They were everywhere. But the focus for today is the RPD. Now, I have made a start. A few changes here and there. obviously when all the other buildings are in, this is not going to be clear blue sky. I've got down here where you'd encounter Brad Vickers. There's a bit of texture in, a little bit of glow lichen. There may be a zombie spawn down here. I don't know, haven't decided yet. And this is where I got up to. The doors of the RPD, and I made a start on the west wing. So, kicking into it, the RPD is actually quite big. And as you can see, I've done a few rooms already. I'll give you a quick tour of those in a second. I didn't complete it because I did want to do some live. Oh, there's an anvil there. So, we have the first waiting room. Again, I've gone with the basic colours, same with the floor, but kept everything that you find in the game. A couple of statues here. The service desk. I don't know how I'm going to put a telephone there, but yeah, there's a way. And obviously that will lead through into the detective's room, which is also linked. But the main hall, now the main hall was a bit of a pain. And it was a pain the first time I ever built this. So, in the game there's a ramp that leads up to where you'd find the computer. You'd get the box there, the key card, you'd go to the computer and it would unlock this door. Now, because it's a ramp it goes up, but the entire rest of the ground floor level, for some reason, is the same level as this room. So I had two choices. Do what I did in my last build and have a little slight slant using a few slabs just to bring that up, or find a way of trying to bring this down. And I'll be honest, I think I'm going to have to bring a step up, because obviously it is one block higher and I haven't quite worked out whereabouts I'm going to do that. That's where your liquor would scoot past. Now it does look incredibly bright, but that's because these are slabs and it's daylight outside. If I turn off daylight only, always day, mine is very slow. I'm only on the original Xbox One. Time. And then it instantly gets darker. Same with the other rooms. So this will have mobs in it, which wouldn't normally happen, but as you can see the buildings outside and you can see the light effects from the fires. It just adds such a difference in texture. Now, I have got broken windows here, as there is in the game, because normally there'd be shutters that would come down, they'd be built up inside. I ended up having to use string. Now, I don't know if anyone can help me with this, but I know string on Java Edition is damn near invisible. On Bedrock, it stands out a mile, and it's horrible. Eventually, I will have a few spawners out here, so zombies can pour in through the windows. The floor will be elevated up so they can actually climb up. We've got the evidence, not the evidence room, the file room, which eventually will have an item. I think it's the crank and some ammo in here. But yeah, that was the best I could do with this room. There's not a lot really you could do for hollow cabinets other than using scaffold everywhere. A few little details here and there, just trying to polish it round. A few vents, air ducts. I think this does need a few more pipes and wires along the top. But I was just trying to get the basic layouts first, so I knew where I was building, what I was doing. Now in here, this room is normally lit, but that's boring, isn't it? Let's face it, that's boring. We want mobs to spawn. We want this to be survival horror. So I just incorporate a couple of flickering lights. I may change them to a couple of observers facing each other. At the minute I've just got a repeating clock up there, and yeah, that's just annoying. But I didn't know, I tried to put signs down on the floor and obviously they stand up as broken wood. So maybe buttons, I might try buttons for a few splintered bits, maybe on these centre parts, but I just think they kind of look a bit better. Oh, those zombies broke that door down again. Right. The briefing room. What I wouldn't give for custom paintings. Again, somebody suggested maps, and I think that's a great idea. It's because obviously once the city's complete, I'll be able to get an overhead map of it and put that down. So you've got a map of the city. A few basic things. I mean, what else do you do for a vending machine? If anyone's got any tips on how to do a vending machine in Minecraft, please tell me. Oh, bit of obsidian there. Hang on, what did I use? I think I used... Boop. Now, this room here is going to be interesting because I will put some shotgun, in quotation marks, shotgun shells in there. Obviously, you'll be able to use them in any bow and arrow, but this here, I've actually rigged up behind this picture. There is a dispenser, and eventually I will put a piece of redstone dust in there as the red jewel. And when you finally acquire the flint and steel, you will light that fire, an observer will detect it and give you the item you need. Because I don't just want the build. I've done the build before, once, it went badly, I've mentioned it. I want this to be playable. I want there to be puzzles. I want there to be things you can do. They might not stick concisely to the game, because some of it requires redstone that's beyond my knowledge, and I am the most basic of redstone knowledgeable individuals. I need to make start on this room, so I've still got all this to fill in and deal with. The sun's starting to come up. So let's quickly get to the second floor. Little plant pot there. I've got the locker room to do, and we have up to the second floor. Now, the reason I've done this section here is so I could work out exactly where the second floor was going to go, because, as I said, I've got a couple of redstone lamps going here for the flickering lights, and also a few other little bits and bats that just pop up. And obviously, we don't want them interfering with the second floor of where we're going to be actually placing our floor and putting blocks and things counteracting with each other. So, it's sort of trying to work out the ins and outs and where I'm going to place blocks. But as you can see, it's kind of fit out now. It's kind of leveled and ready, and we know where things are going to be. This bit is going to be a little bit of a pain, so what I'm thinking of is maybe just including a step there. So bring that down as you step into the next area, or a step that just comes down here, just to make it all level, because we don't want it one block off just because the game says, oh, here's a ramp, but we haven't explained why the rest of the ground level's off. And that is where I left it. Not yesterday, day before, Sunday. So the idea is we're getting cracked on. It's getting there slowly but surely. Unfortunately, I encountered a hiccup. Now, this hiccup occurred as I was laying out because I'm using obsidian, I was laying out the ground plans and working out where things are going to go, where the corridors are going to meet, where the outer wall's going to be, the inner wall's going to be, how that wall's going to be different from that wall. I'm basically just trying to work out how things are going to fit together. When I hit this, Now this section here is supposed to be 3 wide, which means this wall and this wall are going to be the same. Have you noticed that wall originally was there, not there? Quick drink. Now, I was tempted to fix this before I streamed today, to get rid of it and make it look like nothing had ever happened, and I'd planned everything accordingly and everything worked out wondrously. But I thought at the same time, no, because if you make mistakes, they're going to happen. Doesn't matter how well planned and looking at maps and how organised you can be, even if you try and picture everything, there's always going to be a slight hiccup. But what I did is, I didn't plan the main hall first, which is what I should have done. The entire main hall is the central hub, basically, and that should have taken precedence over the rooms that go around it. So all this will have to get deleted, and I'm going to have to find a way of incorporating this. Maybe make it a little bit small. It may have to be 2 wide, 3 wide at the centre, and then go from there. Which also led me to think, I've been playing this game now for just over 5 years. Well, I've had the game over 5 years. I did take a year's break from it. But yeah, so about 5 years I've been playing, and as you can see, I'm not a terrible builder. I've got pretty good concepts of how it works, but even I can make little mistakes, and these little mistakes can have a big impact on your build. So I thought what I'd share is just a couple of my building tips. I mean, there's so many tutorial videos out online, probably a lot more that are better than mine. But Minecraft is such a big game that so many people are joining. There are so many new players every single day. And whether you're 15 or 50, whether you're new to the game or you're just getting settled in, or maybe you've been building for a year and you're not sure what to build next or how to build, or maybe you've just got some uncertainties. So I thought what I'd do is I'd just give a couple of basic tips on how I have changed from my original building style, should I say. And this came from, I found one of my old worlds whilst I was deleting a lot of my other worlds that I created, different survival modes where I tried doing this and tried doing that. And I came across my first ever Resident Evil build, which I built when I first started playing the game. Instead of building a starter home like any normal person would, the first thing I wanted to do was, obviously, Spencer Mansion. I'm going to build the Spencer Mansion in Minecraft. Didn't know what I was doing, built it. Oh my goodness, I was so happy with it. I was so chuffed with it. I then rebuilt the Spencer Mansion in a realm called Valhalla when I saw the size of their builds, and I thought, I don't know how to build anything this big. I don't know what I'm doing. This is a few years later. And I thought, I will build the Spencer Mansion again. I've built it before. It won't be difficult to redo again. The second build is, I would say, 10, maybe 20 times better. I mean, it's not difficult, is it? When you've been building for this length of time, to just bam, 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 black out a load of blocks and then just, yes, be happy about it. But no. I went back, saw my original build, and I cried. I hated it. It looked, it was awful. I'm actually not going to lie, it was awful. I cringed. And I told the other people on the realm, and I invited a few of them over to see it, and they just laughed. It was like, oh, it's not that bad. I was like, I hate it. It needs to burn. It needs to burn. It needs to burn. But then I thought, so what's changed? What has actually changed since that build to my new mansion build? And what's changed is this. This layout you can see here out of obsidian. Normally I would use concrete, different colour concrete to highlight different rooms. I'm using obsidian because at the minute, because I want this to be in survival and because it's so high. When I test it in survival, If a creeper blows up, I don't want to plummet 100 blocks to my death, because I will respawn down there. Yeah, I can flip back to creative and come back up, but that's not the point. So I want to make sure that the place is solid, and creepers can't blow it. So that's why I'm using obsidian as the base value. So the first thing I'm going to say, when it comes to building, if you're building something bigger than just a normal starter house, plan. Have a plan, have an idea in your head. What is it you want to build? What are you building? Are you building a mansion? Are you building a manor? Are you building a castle? Are you building an underground bunker? What happens if you're building a giant fort? Plan. Always plan roughly where you want your rooms, where you want your layout. Do you want your bedroom there? Do you want your storage room there? Do you want your entrance here? An entrance at the front, back, sides, walls? What do you want to build? Once you've got a basic layout of what you want to build, the next thing is to work out how big. What is acceptable? In creative, something like this is fine, because you don't have to go hunting for resources. You've got everything at your fingertips. You've got infinite amounts of blocks. If you're building in survival, you need to be realistic about your build. Maybe you've got plenty of time on your hands like I do. Maybe you've got friends who don't mind going resource gathering. If you're playing on a realm, one of you has been digging a massive tunnel in Deep Slate and you think, well, actually, I want to build a castle out of Deep Slate. You can trade resources, but work out what you want to build and how big you want to build it. Because then that gives you a rough idea of where you're going to be set up. And that's when you develop something like this. I'd say like a floor plan. But then as you start to build up, you'll see in some places I've got obsidian walls, basically building out how high I want it to go. And this is usually referred to as a skeleton frame. So you can see how tall your rooms are going to be, how big your build is going to be. And if you, like I say, I would use different colours personally. Where I've got single blocks, I know that's a single wide wall. Whereas where I've got double blocks, I know that the interior of this room is different to the interior of this corridor. That way I can dual and keep the rooms separate instead of having one wall mirrored on the other wall. So yes, definitely plan out what you're building, create a frame, a map, a ground, whichever, then build a skeleton frame. It will save you so much time. The last thing you want to do is do what I did. I did not build a skeleton frame, as you can see, for this central room. I should have. I didn't. If I was in survival, this would have been a pain. And when people say, oh yeah, I didn't want to build a frame, I didn't want to see what it looked like in creative. I don't like building things twice. I've had this argument with a friend of mine. Oh, I'm not going to build anything first in creative and then build it in survival, because I don't like building things twice. If you build it in survival and it's wrong, guess what you're going to have to do? You're going to have to take that down. And you're going to have to build it twice. This plan will save you time and resources, and it will put your build together a lot faster. Yeah, it's not the most fun part of it, but at the same time it can be, because you can think, oh, maybe I've got this space here. What happens if I'd built this and this wasn't a room in the RPD? If it was my own build, ooh, I could have a secret room here. Because that room and that room, this corridor here, you're not going to know if there's anything there or not. Sorry, the little room. You can make that a secret room. You can discover things when you plan out ahead. And I'm not saying plan out your whole thing in creative. I'm saying have a rough idea, even if you sketch it down on a piece of pen and paper. But I would highly advise just doing a rough map out in a test world. And for that matter, I'm going to quickly show you what I mean by that. So obviously I'm in creative, I can say whatever I want. Oh, it's easy, you can do this, do that. But yes, when it comes to survival mode, this is my current survival mode. Oh. Sorry, I'm just wetting my whistle. It's quite warm today. When this thing loads up. I'm actually going to be very contradictory in a minute as well, because what I was going to mention, what I've just mentioned with the RPD and the main RPD's hallway being the biggest central structure, that's what you should do. You should start with the biggest central structure, work outwards. Because that way you know, oh, it's night and it's snowing. Right, so I am in survival mode now. So this is my build in my survival realm. And basically, please stop snowing. I hate snow. Why did I choose to build in an Arctic biome? So as you can see, I've done a central line out of where I want my central tower to be. And yes, this is good. This is going to be a big tower. It's going to be a big tower. But I've mapped out where I want it to be, where I want the roads to start being. As you can see, they are coming out this way. And eventually, I did the same with. I tried to do the normal thing there. As you can see, I've mapped out the square here. There's going to be a tower, and then here is where the next tower is going to be, and this is going to be a gatehouse. And the reason I'm planning it like this is, as I said, now I know where this central platform is going to be. I've been able to work around it. Because truthfully, I'm doing quite a big build. Quite a big build. And had I not planned anything, I would not know where to begin. So I had my frames in place. I knew where I wanted to build. I knew roughly how high I wanted to build. And under here, there are layers. Oh, no. Stone. Because eventually I will be terraforming this entire under area, so it isn't ice. But I used stone as a rough guideline to work out where my terraforming is going to be. And if you're going to terraform, you really plan. Plan your build. If you're building up in the air or on a tower or on a cliff, I would also advise building on land. Hang on, whilst we're here, I just want to see if this guy's got any red coral, because I haven't found a coral biome. No, I should kill him really. But I will. Oh, polar bears. But yes, plan. Stick some bases down, work out where you're going to be, and then you know roughly what you're doing. Which goes again back into having a test world. I did not just build all that from scratch. In fact, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Right. So if I'm basically, if I'm perfectly honest, the central platform around those two gatehouse towers, that inspiration actually came from Tango Tech, who has built the Deep Frost Citadel in Hermitcraft Season 9, and I was struggling to work out a base design. But if you've got a central platform, if you know where you're building from, if you know what you want to do, it will make life and survival way easier, and it will save you a ton of resources, a ton of time, and it will save you a ton of mistakes. Take it from me. Now when this loads up, I'll show you how my test world works out. Right, so as you can see, when I was building my walls, I went through a few various different ideas because I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted, but I knew roughly what I wanted. And once you know what you want from your build, then it comes down to materials. Again, with creative, you can do what you want. But if you're trying to build something like I've built in survival, you know you're going to need resources. So doing a couple of test builds and seeing how they look, I realised I like the dark contrast for my infernal keep. And I thought deep slate and blackstone. Eventually that's what I fell for. I fell for deep slate and blackstone. A few little trial and errors here and there just to see what I thought worked, what I liked the look of. Because if I built this, imagine if I built this in survival, flown away from it and gone, I hate this. I actually hate this. I would then have to go back and tear it all down, damaging your pickaxe, wasting time, wasting resources, because guaranteed some would fall off, some would end up in the lava if I didn't get rid of the lava first, and you just find yourself wasting time. So definitely have a test world. I mean, these few walls here, trying to debate what I wanted to do, maybe to, I don't know, an hour? If I'd have been doing all these different walls, if I built this in survival, realised I didn't like it, tore it down, then designed this one, built it up, then tore it down, you're talking 5-6 hours. Easily. And again, working out the size, I knew what I wanted. Originally, that was going to be what I wanted. But for what I was building, I thought maybe that is too big. Because there are limitations on what you can and can't do. Because although I wanted to build one at this size, to match it in height, I would have gone way past build limit. And that's what they were for. That was originally one of 3. So there was a second and then a third, and then I realised, oh, it's going to look stumpy. It's going to look really stumpy. And another thing, look at that. Look at that monstrosity. That's from one of my survival worlds. I'm so glad I tried to build the roof here and before I did this in survival, because if I built this and then had to go back up and take it all down, I would have cried. I would have absolutely cried. But yes, testing. Just cobble a few things together. You've got your skeleton frame. You've got your plan. There's your plan. You know how big you want it. You've got your rooms. You know how big you want them. You start from the central room. Work outwards. Start from the biggest section. Go out. Materials. Test a few different things. You're not using anything in creative. You're not having to go out and scavenge for them. So use the materials you've got in creative to see what fits. This was test for my build on Tombstone that I streamed the other day. If I started building this, imagine how much quartz and redstone I would have wasted. Same with the pistons. Note blocks, I'm so glad I didn't stick with them. Testing, it's all about testing and planning. Which leads me on to, again, materials. If you're building in stone, gradient. Having a gradient will drastically add so much detail to your buildings. It may not look good up close, but if you look at something from a distance, it can blend so well that you don't really ignore the rabbit. That was a prank. The wooden rabbit from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Just a few bits, maybe different coloured blocks, even different styles of blocks, just thrown in there. Just it adds a touch of realism to it. Makes things, I don't know, there's a word and I can't think for the life of me what it is. My brain is going into complete shutdown. It just adds some more depth to it. Does not give it that solid, bland, boring look. I mean, the further back you come, they sort of blend together completely. Ignore the roof. Please ignore the roof. Let's do that. Let's hide the roof of shame. And it just gives you that extra smidge of detail that you wouldn't normally have. And I would seriously suggest mixing different colours. I mean, you'd probably think, well, hang on, why would I use white concrete powder and snow with bone? Like, my building's made of stone. My building's made of wood. My building's made of straw. Doesn't matter. Ignore what this is. That is not a bone block. That is cream. That is not white concrete powder. That is a very dodgy, whitey, greyy thing. That is not snow. I hate concrete. I very rarely use concrete in my builds. It's just too smooth. I just find it too smooth. But the snow is awesome. Yes, bugger all blast resistance. But it's a nice colour. It's a great white. Don't see it as snow. See it as a great white. Not a shark. As a great white to use in your build. So let's go back to Raccon. Because that, adding those extra little bits of texture and gradient will make a difference to your build. And I'm going to show you my original Raccon City. Because the next tip I'm going to give is details. Little details can make a huge, monumental difference to your build. And you'll see what I mean by that when I show you a couple of different areas, because I wasn't going to rebuild Raccon City. I was going to take what I'd got left from my corrupt world and just add what I know now to it. Unfortunately, it would have taken way more effort. I would have constantly been nitpicking at it, and I probably would have ended up tearing most of it down, which is why I decided to restart from scratch. When it finally loads. So this is my original RPD. Okay, as you can see, all this here that I've done in the other world, in the one I'm currently working on, all this is gone. This was here. So was all this area. So was, this hurts, Resident Evil 3's shopping district. Went all out around there. The entire area was fully filled out. Same with here. I even went through the cutscene of when Claire and Leon drive down the main street. This entire street was completely done with buildings. Down here, where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's filled with water again. Underneath here, the sewer system. The entire sewer system. Which I've done. I can hear you. Where are you? There you are. The car park area. No longer here. Gone. Deleted. It took it all the way back to this part. I lost so much. I lost so much, and this is why I didn't go back over it. But going back to what I was saying, there's another reason why I built it so high in the sky as well. I mean, this is early days. This bit here represents me starting. I mean, look at this monstrosity. That was my plan for each of the weapons for the game. So, as you can see, I've got the cars, little details, little headlights, broken wheels, trapdoors for broken doors. They're not what I would call detailed details. Now, I don't know if this still works, actually. Have a look. Oh, it does. But the door doesn't close behind. That would all be getting ripped out and changed anyway. So this room here, for those of you that know your Resident Evil, is pretty much the first room where Jill starts. We've got basic walls, basic areas. It's bland. It's bland. Even with the item frames, this is bland. But then this is when I thought, do you know what? Maybe I should start and redo all this. And this is where I began. So all this was originally just stone. So I got rid of some of the stone. I added in some cracked bricks. Got rid of the normal, because this was all brick. Threw in some granite. Threw in a little bit of copper. Mixed the blackstone up with a bit of basalt. And down here, just threw a few items on the ground. Trash. They're armour stands. I don't know why they turn black when they fall into the ground. But kind of junk on the floor. You come out here. A few bits of brick, stones. Rubbish on the garbage bags. I would have never thought to have put these on garbage bags. I just left those things there basically. So I put a few little details on here and there. Added a few paintings where there's signs. Extractors. There's those two bits of metal either side. Just, well, it just adds so much to if it was just on its own. You just have that poking out the wall. It looks stupid. It looks stupid. Little headlights. Instead of just having that, have a magma cream in there. A few little signs here and there. Those tiny little details make all the difference. But yeah, this is how much of the city I'd actually got done before corrupted file. I am still half using this as a bit of a template, but as you can see, when I followed the maps, these buildings here ended, but where this map came out, where you come out as Jill and then head down there, that's an alleyway. But according to the map, it's a building with another building behind it. So it doesn't add up, which is another reason why I want to go through and make it a proper official map. As you can see, I have changed the way the RPD looks. I've gone much closer to the game than, I think I did all of this from memory. So all this will be gone. This entire section here, this won't be here. I am going so strictly to the game this time that it's going to hurt. Yep, there's my fire truck, which I've updated. There's my bus, which I haven't updated. I love that bus. The old dispenser. But here's another little something. This is the overhang floor for when you get up onto the second floor. Now I thought I knew the RPD pretty well. Turns out that is not a thing. That is not there. That is actually inside the wall. The wall goes up and then in as an L shape. Again, I didn't plan it properly. I didn't work out the way the floors work. I just built it as and when. I went room for room for room for room for room and then realised I'd got no space. So they are my main 4 tips that I can give when it comes to building. Plan. What are you building? How big are you building it? Build a frame. You don't have to build the frame in creative. Have a rough idea. Build that. Build your frame in survival. Use cobblestone. At least it gives you a rough idea. Start from the biggest area. The bit you want as your main focal point of your build. Start there. Work outwards. Outwards and upwards. Use different colour blocks. So when it comes to your materials, know what materials you're building with. But use, I don't know, wool. Concrete can be a bit of a pain in survival. Use wool. Use cobblestone, mix it with deep slate, so you can segregate the rooms. details, those little details, even if it's just a plant pot in a corner of a room, it can make a big difference. The odd little chair, a little seat every now and then. Banners on the walls or picture frames. So yeah, plan your build, start from the centre, work out your materials, focus on your details. I would preferably go in that order. That's basically how I'd do it. Oh, well, that was a ramble and a half, weren't it? Right, let's get some actual building done in this building live stream. So I was struggling a little bit. I'm going to apologise, I'm going to have a cigarette. I do not condone smoking, it's too expensive and it ain't good for you. Ever. Unless you've got £30 a day to spend, well not a day, a week. So, as you might have noticed in the other world, the other Raccon build, there was a dispenser right there. Now going back to what I was saying about having puzzles, yesterday I spent 2, maybe 3 hours trying to work out how I could have the item, which I've removed it. I think it might still be in my inventory. Let's have a look. Oh, it's not. It's gone on. I'm going to have to name another. Oh, is it in there? No. Basically, I renamed an item, so it has to be a specific item, which you place in this dropper, and you would press this button, and then in the old one, it would go boop and pop out, and that would be a key. I would have certain doors rigged up with redstone locks that you could only open if you had a specific key. I'm not going to go on too much about what went wrong. Suffice it to say, this building here, this statue, was from about here to about here, up to about here once all the redstone was inside of it. And when I finally got it working, I stood here and I was like, oh, yeah, boop, click, oh, it all worked, that's wonderful. Now you need said specific item to be able to get, and I stood here, and my brain just went, don't tell me I can. And I could. Standing up here, I could reach the dispenser. You didn't need the key. There was a moment of rage. There was a moment of screaming at the screen, and whining, and basic whinging. So then I realised, what am I going to do? I can't build it any taller. I can't get it out of range. What I found is you can actually pass items through slabs. I did not know this. I just tested it, my brain just went, I might have big brain moment, or I might have stupid moment. If I completely surround this entire area in obsidian, and the dropper drops the item, it's got nowhere to go except out to a half slab, surely. And sure enough, that's what I did. So in here is a dropper with the key that you will need. And you'll need a specific item. There's actually, underneath here there is a barrel with a keycard lock, keycard combination lock, which I did not know how to build. I had to get a tutorial from the channel Scotty O, which was pretty helpful. Where the guy explained everything so fast. I had to keep pausing it every 5 seconds. Yeah, so working out the redstone is definitely going to be a key factor, which is why I also want to try and leave some space between floors. I'm not going to be able to do key locks for every single door because there just isn't the room to do it. Which is a bit of a shame, but there's not a lot we can do. Right, so what I want to do is we need to get this section finished off. Try and get some of this underground bit done. What's this room again? Yeah, small offshoot to the detective's office, which means this is the evidence room, which means this is the, come on brain, the locker room with the photograph booth at the back. Right. So for that, we need, well, I'm going to keep these for the floor. Might not need the grey wall. Don't need quartz. Don't need black wool. I believe. So we need cyan terracotta, white terracotta. Let's just quickly jump to the reference picture. Box for Soup did a video 6 months ago of a modded version of the GameCube Resident Evil 2 on PC, but upgraded to high def. Now I watched that because I wanted to make sure that some of the colour palettes I was using matched the game. Oh, I should never have done that. I was looking through it, I was like, oh, my build looks terrible. It doesn't, but obviously when you compare it to a high def version of Resident Evil 2, oof. Again, blocks are limitations. I could go 5 times, 10 times bigger, but I chose not to. Right, I'm having trouble finding this photo now. I'm pretty sure it's the same as the corridor outside. Right. Whilst I find this photo, where are we at? Almost an hour. So what I will do is I will take a quick break for 2 minutes, and then I will come back once I've found the right picture, and we will get cracking on actually doing some building. So let's just jump into this. Let's capture and share. Pause. I will be back in 2 minutes. Right, we're back. So, I just had a quick look through my phone, my 487 screenshot still images that I've got, and oddly enough, I don't have the locker room. Don't know why. That's ridiculous. So I'm just quickly looking through my YouTube for Bork's video. By the way, if you've not checked out Bork's Pursuit, I mean, I don't follow him because he does a lot of Resi playthroughs, and I'll be honest, I've done an awful lot of Resi playthroughs. I do like some of his randomizer content, so definitely give him a shout. But I've managed to find his video, and okay, he's just getting the red gem. Got it muted because I don't want to get done for any form of copyright. I don't know why there's a chicken with its back to me in the corner. Okay, right, I think I found it. That floor looks darker than stone. Okay, what is that? The seat. Okay, so the ceiling and the floor are the same colour. The walls are a dirty white, light grey. But I have also noticed, oh, hang on, there might be a bit of a crackle in a second, I do apologise. There we go. Sorry, my headphone jack for some reason has come a bit loose. Okay, so lockers, desk, bench, filing cabinets, a few other bits and bats in the corners. I will worry about detailing later, but I have just spotted something. And that's this bit right here. Get through the doorway. This bit is actually a cove. There's actually an under the stairs where there's boxes. I thought there was something missing. There's also a couple of herbs down here on the ground. So let's just throw some herbs down there. Oh, a bit of sapling. Boop, boop. So yeah, so I'm going to have to take that out. I'm not doing it now because I've got a few spawners behind there, which I'm going to have to remove and redo. So, oh, another little tip. Because I found this a bit of a nightmare on Bedrock. Command codes. Now, some of you are probably thinking, I've tried using command codes. For some reason they don't work, and I mean, maybe I'm just stupid, which to be fair is not a surprise, but I was wondering how the hell do command codes work. So in the end I found one that is quite helpful, and that is simply this: the fill in command. So I want to fill this entire level here instead of just going filling it all with obsidian. What I will do is I will mark this space here and look at my coordinates, because you don't want to be up here because it will do this floor, not this one. Now I know that my ground zero level is 100. This is where I want my obsidian mainly to be. Sorry, the floor to be. Hang on, no it's not. Why is it at 1? Oh, yes, because of the step up. Right, okay, yes. But yeah, originally, ground level 100 is ground level. But it steps up by 1 because of this here. So we know it's going to be 99. So it is minus 30. 99, positive 6. If you go over into another corner, which is minus 18, 99 and 1, I can fill everything from that corner all the way up to here, all the way up to me. And to do that, go into your commands, /, space. Now, it's the original coordinates, which was -30. Oops. Space, 99. Space, 6. Space. Now, when it gives you the commands, it says XYZ. We have our XYZ there, but it has brackets around them, like greater than, less than, the pointy brackets. I don't know their real name. But I know that that is where I want it filling from. So there's your XYZ. No spaces, no commas. -30 space 99 -6 space. Now my current location is this symbol here. Again, don't know what it means, but it's my current X, my current Y, space, my current Z. So current space, current X, space, current Y, space, current Z, space. And the block we want to fill it with is obsidian. And when we press start, it tells you in the corner obsidian, or I could edit that to crying obsidian. The only problem I had with this is the terracotta. The terracotta is classed as hard clay, and I still don't know how you find the coloured hard clay. That is something I need to look into for putting larger groundwork down. I mean, personally, I prefer filling things manual. Click start, and there, that small section just from there, just to here, is now completely filled. As you can see in the corner, I don't know why I'm trying to look up to the corner. Hey, 72 blocks of obsidian was just filled there, and it works the exact same way for walls. So over here, instead of doing all this in plain stone, I went over here, marked down the coordinates, so -58, 100, -32, went and came and stood up here, did the /fill space -58 space 100 -32 space, squiggle space, squiggle space, squiggle, and then just put stone, and it filled this entire section with stone. The only problem was it also covered my window, so I had to go back inside and punch out the windows from the inside out. But yeah, it's a very, very useful command if you're building large scales. That's what I did with this brick here as well. Took the coordinates from that corner, went and stood up in that corner, inputted the commands, filled the whole thing with brick, and then you just go over and punch out a few areas, detail it in that way. But anyway, back to the build, and I'm in the wrong section. So the corridor here is actually the exact same as outside, except instead of quartz brick, it's more of a dirty, like a grey, nasty, concretey look, but not quite stone. And we know that there's going to be a border. Oops. See, I'm not even following my own rules. Skeleton frame. But what I like to do is I like to be able to look at it and go, so that's where the bottom half of the locker is going to go, top half of the locker, then there's a space between that and the ceiling. And then there'll be some sort of trim around the top, which means this is your ceiling. Yeah, I would definitely advise against using obsidian. Definitely use different colours. It's going to make life a lot easier for yourselves. Right, is there a trim around the ceiling? Let's have a look. There is. Looks like a thin step, but it's actually quite not. So what I'll probably do . is slab the ceiling. Well, I'm using white terracotta because it's not quite white, it's not quite grey, and it looks manky. It looks like dirty white, even though it is more pink. What have I done here? There's only one doorway there. Oh, for Pete's sake. Yeah, you're probably thinking, oh, a bit of peace and quiet. You shut up finally. I'm always quiet when I build. It requires concentration that I don't normally have. Yeah, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to slab this so I can remove this out because it is only a trim. Right, actually no, that's the dark room, so keep those there. I'm going to go. It's definitely more brick-like than it is just pure borderline colour. So we'll do this along this edge here. That just gives it a trim. And then the ceiling, yeah, it's very grey, very stone. Although I say I don't use concrete very often, what would be great is if they allowed concrete slabs. Or even terracotta slabs. Terracotta slabs would make such a difference to a build. Yeah, I think we'll stick with the dark. And then for the floor, maybe stone and andesite. It does seem darker though. The floor does, looking at this picture, seem darker than stone. So I'm going to go for dark grey wall and dark grey concrete powder, I think. So the most prominent of the colours is the dark. And again, this is going back to what I was saying about, yeah, it's not stone though. It looks like a stone floor. This is not stone, it's wool. How can you justify it? You can justify it because it looks right. So there we go, there's the basic colours in. We'll stick this ceiling in now. Hang on, why aren't you? Do the thing. Do the thing. Why are you going to do the thing? There we go. Why? Why does it do that? Oh, that drives me mad. I'm easily annoyed. Really? Really? One piece? Okay. Now, this area would be the area that's walked on the most, because there's going to be a cabinet there, there's going to be a table there in the middle. So the area that's going to be walked on the most is the area that leads around here and round the back of the table, so towards the chest. So do this and this. Let's chuck down in the slightly lighter colour. There we go. Now, lockers. I think we're going to have to settle with the old-fashioned way of doing a locker. Which is, did I leave enough ceiling room? Door, block, 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 block. There's your lockers. There's a little filing cabinet here and a double chest in this corner. Let's get that in first. Now what I'm actually going to do is, for these, we need them to look like cabinets, and that's something I should have done in the file room. Is where I can find them. Shulkers. Again, shulker boxes come in really handy for texturing. There's actually glass on the second parts of those. So what we'll do is we'll take those out. Break out this back wall. We need. Oh, I don't really want to. I can't use those. Then I'd have to power the blocks. Power the block from underneath, I suppose, but then I'd have to put one there which would power that block. We'll stick with birch. We'll stick with the old birch for now. We'll go for the light grey, because it does look light grey. And what's actually in these cabinets? Bits and bats. Actually, no, the cabinets are higher. The cabinets are actually higher. So, let's bring in the white terracotta again. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Oh. Okay. And then yeah, it looks like just bits and bats. Bits and bats are in there. So for bits and bats, let's find ourselves. Test which one of these looks best. Let's just see what they look like from this side, because they are universally placed. Oh, that's just plain wood, so I won't be using cartography table. It's definitely dark. I think we're going to go with that, because you're not going to see this, because this is where the outside of the RPD is going, so all this will be stone and brick, so that when you're over this side, preferably not in the fire, you look up, you can see a building. Eventually that will be up here, because this would be where you'd come in with the B scenario, which will lead you into the back part. So again, all this will be covered, you won't see it, which is why I've got the double outline I think I mentioned earlier. Right, okay, so there's a few little items stacked there, so nah, but we do need this, unfortunately. Oh, darn you, chest. Yeah, you can still be open, that's fine. It's annoying when that happens. Not a lot you can do about it. Although I do want to move it all down one by one block now. No. The minute you start picking apart your own builds, that's when you know you're getting annoyed. Now the other advantage to this is the fact I've used wool means what I can do is it's going to be a grey tabletop surface. I can actually use carpet underneath because I could use string. Put this here, this here, this here. Problem is, I can't put anything on these because it will instantly go to the floor. But because they're the same colour, blend them together now. Let's do this actually, that will just be easier. There we go, and we have a table. And there's a light above this door which says warning in red. Signs. Ooh, mangrove or crimson. I think we're going to have to go crimson. Skip to line 2. Warning. And then we need glow ink. Ink. Glow ink. No. Ugh. Now, are you going to disappear when I do this? I don't know if this is a bedrock thing. No, that stayed. That stayed. Nice. Now, the problem is I can't put textures on here. There's no items I can put on here. If anyone knows how, or if there's a way on bedrock to do the armor stand trick, please comment, let me know exactly how to do it. That is something I really want to learn. I don't think it is capable without mods or special packs. Actually, no, there's just something stacked there. Right, the dark room. Now the dark room is pretty similar, except there's a lot more metal cabinets. And there's definitely a red hue to it. Now, is there a way I can do a red glow? It's got more of a grey ceiling. Now, although it is that terracotta, it's actually darker. So I'm thinking, throw in the purple. And it's definitely got a red glow. The red terracotta seems fine, but I'm thinking the pink. It's just going to make it look a little bit weird, but it's a dark room. And the floor is definitely closer to black, but not quite black. So maybe the dark grey. But again, it needs that sort of dark hue to it, that dark red. I think there is a dark red. Let's have a look. Darkest red we've got really then is netherrack. Which I don't really want to have to use, because I hate netherrack. I detest the stuff. And the fact I can't get that glow sort of away. See if we can't find a lighter transition colour. How do you get from grey to red in one transition colour? Magenta, maybe? Ooh. Nether brick, actually. It's darker. It's red. Again, I could just use the fill command. But on a room this small, it should be easier to bosh it out of existence. Maybe the darker one, actually. That's too bright. Let's go for the darker netherrack. See how that looks. Oh, that looks, yeah, that looks better. That's way better. There's going to be minimal lighting in here, so this is not going to look pink. Especially when we stick the grey ceiling on it. Tempted to use the purple for the ceiling. Actually, purple I think is the closest, like grey red we're going to get. Did I use down here? Did I use purple? I did. Right, let's see how it looks in the dark. Oh, that looks, yeah, that's way too dark. Now, I don't believe there's a light source in that room. I think there is, there's one, so I could probably rig in a redstone torch somewhere. Let's just put you in the middle and see. Oh yeah, that's definitely got dark room vibes. So question, where can we put the redstone torch that it emits that kind of light level but doesn't actually affect the growth? The glow. Curious. Trying to have a ponder now. Can't put it in the ceiling because we can't slab the blocks. Still need to put a cabinet on this side. Ooh, I could hide it behind a cabinet. That's always an option. I mean, if we have the light source in this room, which will be hang on, because I've slabbed the ceiling, I can't use... Oh, I can use end rods, actually. What am I talking about? And then usually have some sort of metal grating behind them. And now I can't get in. This is another problem with these kind of builds. Forever going in and out. Okay, yeah, that don't look too bad. So we've got those in place. It does light up this room a little bit, but not enough. Right, so let's just pop this here and work out. So we're going to have a couple of cabinets here on the floor. Very flat, they're very flat grey. And again, the iron trapdoor would be okay. I can power it from behind, so I could stick with the block of iron which I've already got in my inventory. That was silly. Do that, and we need some shelving, which again I can use that for. The sink in the corner, well, we'll use cauldron. Sink here, which will have a platform either side of it, so there and there. And then what I probably could just put 2 pieces of redstone down in all fairness, but again, this is going to be behind a wall. You're never going to see it. That's the whole point. The whole point is be crafty. We can put some items up there. What we got? Oh, a conduit. Doesn't a conduit emit a very small light source as well? A couple of unlit candles, maybe. Kangles. Where are Kangles? Let's stick with the red. Let's stick with the red hue vibe. Okay, right. Does the conduit give off a light signal? A light source? Is that coming from the outside? No, that is coming from the conduit. Wow, that is bright. Okay. There is a light source up here behind, on like a plaque. If I put a redstone torch in there, is that going to power up a trapdoor from an angle? So we can keep the plaque in place, because there will be a block behind it eventually. It says. Ooh, that's the pillar. That's the pillar at the other side. Right, if I put this here, that powers the block above it, doesn't it? Right, we're entering cheaty stage again here. The light, I think, no, the light needs to be higher up, so let's pop. Okay, we're doing cheaty mode again. No, we're only a bit of cheating here and there. Not in real life, only when it comes to games. Don't cheat. Cheating's mean. Oh. Oh, because I placed it on that. Okay, yeah. That's fine. So I don't actually need to get rid of that. That's fine. I didn't realise conduits were that bright. That's certainly interesting. Does that look stupid? I mean, looking at the picture, that's where the light's coming from. Does mean this bit's quite dark. That's going to make mob spawn. Oh well, it's a horror game. Stepping here thinking it's safe and it isn't. Well, you're in stuck then, aren't you? Right, can I stand a torch on there? I can. Put one on the wall there. There isn't a light source there, but no, I don't like it. I don't like it. Mob spawn. I can deal with that at a later date. Right now, we are getting the groundwork in. I don't know why I'm bothering putting the doors in, because whenever I test this to see where mobs spawn and where mobs don't spawn, they just come in and break down the doors. But they're inconsiderate. Okay. This part that I thought was right is wrong. So we need cyan. Even I can't see what I'm doing here. Goodness knows what you guys can see. There we go. Let's get rid of these obsidian for these lodestones. Yeah, tiled pattern floors. I was originally going to go with smooth basalt, but it was way too dark. It was too dark for how it looked. What do you think, by the way, of these? The air vents for the aircon. I think it worked out quite well. The only downside is they don't stack like they used to, so you can't have one back to back. I break that one, the whole lot crumbles. It's ridiculous. So there's a mass of storage boxes, so that's what we need, just a mass of storage. A few boxes down here. One there. Chest there. Barrel on, no. Barrel on top, barrel there. Stick a box there, box there. One double chest on top. Ah, there we go. There. Actually looks right now. Okay. Right, so that's another inside room done. I'm going to work on this on another day, these rooms here, because they're just going to be fiddly and finicky. But what I want to do is I want to get this issue cleared up. Actually, that's another point. Another little use for commands. So I'm going to stand here. So I'll just quickly jot down these coordinates because I won't remember them. I never do. I'm dyslexic, so trying to remember this stuff does not sit well in my brain. -24, 110, 8. But if I come across two blocks, come down to here, equal to this one. So now we do the same, / fill, what did we say, -24, space, 110, space, 8, space, current location, space, current location, space, current location. This time we're deleting it. So I'm going to fill it with air. As you can see, that's the top one. Gives you lots of other options, just in case. Make sure you memorize those or at least write them down. And then pop. And there it is. Deleted. Saves me a job. Clears all that for me. Let's just clear out our inventory a little bit. It's looking a bit of a mess. I believe I used spruce stairs. Where's my stairs gone? Where's my stairs gone? There's my stairs. Spruce stairs. Why? There we go. Yeah, I'm not too fussed about these corners. They can kind of stay where they are. I'm not bothered about filling them there in. For baby zombie spawns, so be it. On this day of darkness, she will be ours. Wife to you and mother to me. If anyone gets that reference, mention it in the comments if you know where that's from. I do tend to do movie quotes when I'm playing, even if I'm not streaming. I'm sat here without a headset on. I'm just rambling away to myself. Talking crap, talking crap. Right, so that now keeps in line with this as a back wall. I'll make sure that I'm well aware that this is the corner part. This is where the back wall is going. Yeah, that's the corner for that room as well, actually. There. That room is not going to be that tall. Wait, what have I done here? Gone one off, that's why. Always one block off. No? No, that's right. Yeah, that one comes back. And the outside of the building juts out. Yeah. So I was right. Brain does not do the function. And it needs to start doing the function. 3. So now we know that this is going to be the limitation for the second floor on this side. Now that that's in place, that's going to end there where the wall is. So now when I come to do the second floor design, before I do any of this, I will know that that is where I'm allowed up to, because this is where the balcony is going to be. Now these balcony parts, I ended up doing a couple of little trials, and I think I've settled on the trapdoors. I think that just looks better, adds that extra little jutty out bit compared to the others. I mean, I did like the composters, sort of breaking it up with the lecterns on top, but I think it's definitely, we're going to stick with trapdoors. Oh, hang on. We can't do that. Oh no, wait, yeah, we can. The floor's going there, you're never going to see it. I don't need to faff. You probably noticed, if you're not going to see it, I'm covering it with obsidian. Oh my goodness, if a wither ever got loose, the amount of obsidian just, in fact actually no, the wither demolishes obsidian now, doesn't it? That's a comment for people to answer. Has the wither always demolished obsidian? I'm pretty sure it never used to just like absolutely blast through it. In its first stage, I know in its second stage it can literally just smear its way through everything. But in its first stage, the rockets it launches, the explosive skulls, I don't ever recall them being able to just absolutely blow up obsidian. And I'm asking because I use wardens to hunt withers for me. Right, so that's where the steps are, so that's kind of not going to go there, is it? I suppose that bit, actually no, because that's going to be close to a balcony, so I'll have to double that up on ladders. But what I probably will do is just use metal iron bars for the ladders, so you can't actually transition up and down them. Just there for aesthetics. Oh no, because the wall's going there. No, the wall can't go there. Yeah, the wall can go there. Yeah. Right, okay. Now, thinking of going for the oak trapdoor again, or maybe spruce. Can't really use carpet. Let's see how spruce looks. Go sideways. Sort of keeps the pattern then, doesn't it? No. What happens when you try and do it quickly? You haven't got. Yeah, lecterns make really good, like thick pillars. Sort of, just to sort of stick out a bit in your build. It's really good if you use them in a complete row. Make really good. What's the word? Is it a balustrade? Balustrade. I don't English good. As you probably noticed. Yeah, another little building tip. Speaking of tips, if anyone's got any tips for me, if there's anything about my videos I could do or maybe change. I mean, obviously don't absolutely slag the living crap out of me. I can cope with that. That'd be nice. My second ever live stream. Now, if anyone's got any helpful pointers or tips or anything they can suggest, I've had people say, "Oh, write a script, write a script, write a script." I barely remember what I'm doing half the time anyway. This is wrong. Yeah, I don't want a script because otherwise I'm not going to be able to concentrate on building. I like to like free flow. Build to my heart's content. And eventually, I'm hoping my channel starts to grow, that people will start joining in on chat and I can actually communicate with people. And maybe give pointers, take pointers. I mean, I'm always open to learn. That's another tip. Be willing. You need to be willing to learn at this game. There's always something new. I'm forever learning stuff about Minecraft that I just did not know before. Every time I play it, near enough, I will learn something. Okay, starting to look better. Now, are you just classed as smooth sandstone? Because if you are, right, how high did I make the downstairs walls? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It looks about 8 high, so we can probably do that. So minus 57, 110 again, 32 again. I'll go all the way over here. 8 high, I said, didn't I? I'll probably end up hacking most of this down anyway. So, minus 57, space, 110, space, 32, space, current location, space, current location, space, current location, space. Now then, I'm guessing it's smooth. Is smooth sandstone all one word? find out. It's not come up. That's always a clue. We'll do that. Oh, why did it delete? Why? This is why I don't always use the fill commands. I just use it mainly for obsidian. Minus, what did I say? 57. 110. 32. Let's type in smooth. So it's underscore. Where's the underscore? If it doesn't come up, we're just going to fill it manually. No. I don't want smooth sandstone stairs, I just want smooth sandstone. Why is smooth sandstone not amongst that list? Smooth stone is, smooth basalt is. Is it sandstone smooth? Is it awkward? If it's sandstone smooth, that would be so. Sandstone? Red sandstone? What? What? Is it smooth sandstone? Why is that not in the fill list? Oh. Somebody please explain it to me. I don't get what I'm doing wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that going to be too high? Yeah, it's because there is a second floor. Not on this side, it's on that side. It's going to be covered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My guess is, so we've got the doors too high. Lip, the dado rail run along the top, and then we've got that intricate wood pattern design there. There's a window there. I need to actually double check on the window scale. No, it's not quartz, it is smooth quartz. It's actually smooth quartz on the ground floor, but I, for some reason, prefer the, because it's got the little support pillars, I think it looks better. That's the only reason I've changed that myself. Now, I know there's going to be a door here, but I'm not worried about that just yet. I haven't layered out the second floor yet. Right, so that's going to have to go because that's going to have stone above it as well. See, what I showed in my old build was that was just a complete solid wall. I just filled it in. Just completely filled it in. Even though there's a tiny window here and a window here. Looking into nothing. Looking into brick wall in my other build. I may add some sand into this, or find another colour similar, just to add a bit more colour, but I can't really judge it until I've got the roof on and there's no natural light coming in. I could wait until midnight and do it, but then you're working in the dark and it kind of defeats the object. I'll try and just get a couple more of these walls up, and then we're going to call it the old day. How's that gone wrong? Boom. sure I counted that out as 8, unless the other one was 7. That's where I went wrong. Now I know what I want to do for the windows here. I'm going to use yellow glass on the inside and honey blocks on the outside. And then sort of almost frame them off. And see what that looks like from down there where all that fire is. Yeah, that one's one off, that's why. I thought I'd counted the other ones out. That's another tip, and this is something I picked up from doing labouring, mainly painting and decorating. Measure twice, cut once. Always count it twice. I'm just rushing because I'm coming up to the end of the 2 hours. And I just want to get at least these walls up. So we've at least got one room done and a couple of walls and a mistake corrected. Doesn't seem like a lot in 2 hours, but there was a bit less in this build this time, so I did want to give just a couple of tips, a little bit of insight into how I structure my builds and how I am actually putting all of this together, but also to share some of my building techniques to hopefully help others. Because there's nothing like finding something interesting out about the game and going, do you know what, I never thought to do that, I will try that, and it working. Because when it works, it's a good feeling. It's getting there. The decision on what I'm going to do with the lights in this room, because they are circular, and obviously we all know it's circular, that doesn't work. But I will come up with something. I will have a think of something. And hopefully, next time I'm on, which will be next Tuesday, I do plan on streaming every Tuesday, obviously next week, if any one of you join me again, I'll hope to get a bit more of this done. A few of the odd side bits done, maybe the odd little room, but then we're going to try and concentrate, because next week what I would like to do is, in a 2-hour live stream, absolutely hit this entire second floor. Get the entire second floor done in one big live stream, not ramble on as much, and basically just chill, stream, build. So, with that being said, I hope you all have a great day. Be good people, and I love you. Take care of yourselves out there. See you later. Bye-bye.